Terra is the IT painkiller. Remote monitoring and management, remote access, help desk and ticketing, smart automations, patching.
Earlier this week, President Trump turned his criticism toward an unlikely subject, Pope Leo. The president wrote in part on Truth Social, quote, Pope Leo is weak on crime and terrible for foreign policy.
Attack on Pope Leo.
The president wrote in part on Truth Social, quote, Pope Leo is weak on crime and terrible for foreign policy. The Pope spoke out publicly against the war with Iran, and the Pope said he is spreading the message of the church and has no fear of the Trump administration, but we've already seen some potential fallout. Police in Illinois responded to a bomb threat at the home of the Pope's brother. Authorities say they found no explosives, but the incident remains under investigation. It's unclear whether the threat was in direct response to Pope Leo's comments, but the timing has sparked speculation they are connected. Joining us now is Michael O'Loughlin. He is the executive editor of the National Catholic Reporter. The war with Iran is already so politically fraught. So what kind of backlash could the president face now that he's attacking the Pope and also posting these controversial AI images of himself online?
When President Trump attacked the Pope over the weekend, there was an immediate reaction from Catholics in the United States and around the world who took issue.
Okay. Tell me this doesn't look like fucking Epstein. Tell me this doesn't look like Epstein. I wanna bless Epstein. I want to bring him back to life. I am God's chosen.
With attacking Pope Leo, the first Pope of the United States. Pope Leo responded by saying he was talking about Catholic principles, that he's not a politician. President Trump kept the story going today, telling reporters earlier that he felt like he had to attack Pope Leo because of his opposition to the war in Iran. So this story keeps going. I think U.S. Catholics are offended whether they supported President Trump or not. So we'll have to see how they react come November when they have the chance to vote at the ballot box about what they think about this attack.
How does the Pope typically approach a divisive issue like a war?
Pope Leo has talked about Catholic principles. He said that he is upholding the gospel, that he wants Catholics, ordinary Catholics, to apply those principles in the public square. He said that he's not a politician. But President Trump is approaching Pope Leo as if he is another Democratic politician and using methods that have worked in politics, but seem to be hitting some resistance here with Pope Leo being a religious leader and not a political leader.
Do you see this causing long-term damage between the U.S. and Vatican?
It certainly seems like the relationship is pretty chilly right now. Both the president and vice president have attacked the Pope, who's from the United States, who understands the cultural and political context here. I can't imagine that this will be easily healed, though Pope Leo does want to continue to engage Catholics in his home country. So I think there's a chance for healing and forgiveness. Of course, it's the Pope, so he's all about forgiveness and charity. But we'll have to see if the White House is willing to offer an apology for this sort of attack on Pope Leo.
Michael O'Loughlin, thank you.
If you're a producer who hates AI, this plugin might change your mind. This is Reimagine in CoProducer. You can take any sample you find and flip it into infinite one-of-a-kind variations that are unique to you. Here's how it works. Just open up your DAW and drop in.
You know, I'm not sure how many of these international interviews you've done, because you do a lot in the United States, but it's a measure of how much your position now is causing a huge amount of interest both in the United States and around the world. And so we're glad to have you on. You've been very critical of President Trump recently when he, made that very apocalyptic threat to essentially wipe out and a whole civilization will die tonight and will never be brought back. That's what he said about Iran. You responded 25th Amendment. Tell us what you meant.
I was absolutely shocked and horrified that the president, the man that I supported and helped get elected, would call for an entire civilization of people to be murdered. When he talks about a civilization, he's talking about every man, woman, and child in the country of Iran to be killed. And I think that is completely unacceptable for the president of the United States, for any leader of any country around the world, to call for an entire civilization to be killed, the innocent lives to be wiped out. And that really gave me...
Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's a dumb bitch. We don't care what she has to say. I'm gonna destroy an entire civilization for Israel.
Grave concern for his mental capacity, and that's what the 25th Amendment is for.
So just to be clear, it's to, through Congress, through those official routes, it's to sort of remove a president if they're deemed unfit to be able to carry out their duties. Do you believe that now?
Yes, I really think that his mental capacity needs to be examined. His rhetoric has been shocking to many Americans and people around the world. This is a war that many Americans, especially younger generations who I side with most of the time, do not support. We made campaign promises in 2020.
It's really true. I feel like the younger generation does not support Trump. It's just these fucking boomers. Just these dumbass boomers.
To the American people, no more foreign wars, no more foreign regime change, and to put America as our focus. That means the American people and our economy and our future, really. And however, we've seen a drastic change here. I call this war an unprovoked war, and President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu engaged this war against Iran. There's not been a single bomb fall on America, and yet here we are spending nearly $2 billion a day. Yes, I do think that it should be discussed, although it's very unlikely the 25th Amendment will be used.
And are you concerned, many people were immediately very offended and concerned, particularly many Christians around the world, when first of all, President Trump essentially attacked the Pope, calling him weak on just about everything, and then somehow presented himself in a Christ-like image as the great hero.
I'm telling you, that's Epstein. It's Epstein with a beard. And that's Dana White with a fucking army cap on. I'm a doctor. I'm Dr. bringing back Epstein.
With the halo and all sorts of, depictions in light. And, to those who understand Christian, imagery, it definitely looked like a deliberate image. How did you read it?
I read it as blasphemy. That's exactly how I read it. It was President Trump presenting himself to be Jesus, presenting himself to replace God. And that was extremely offensive to Christians and Catholics all over the world. And it is completely wrong. And then even further, he tried to, sweep it away, saying that, he thought he was representing himself as a doctor, which is lying. And he didn't apologize, which he should have apologized. And it's just, it's ridiculous, really, absolutely ridiculous. And so it is blasphemy and it's wrong. And President Trump owes Christians an apology.
And he hasn't done that yet. And as you say, he says he doesn't owe anybody an apology. Here's Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, about this issue.
I talked with the president about it as soon as I saw it, and told him that I don't think it was being received in the same way he intended it. He agreed and he pulled it down. That was the right thing to do. He explained how he saw that, and I don't think he thought it was sacrilegious at all.
Are you satisfied with Johnson's response there?
No, I'm not, because Speaker Johnson constantly touts himself as a Christian and brags on that in the way he speaks of himself. I think he should have said more. And I just think this is totally unacceptable, and we have to be clear-eyed exactly what it is. President Trump is not Jesus. He is not God. He's a man no different than any man here on earth. And it's completely blasphemous for him to present himself that way. And if he's not understanding why that was offensive to Christians, then I would call on the Christian leaders around him, such as Paula White, Franklin Graham, Speaker Johnson, and others. They need to be doing a much better job explaining why that was offensive and why it's appropriate that he apologize.
Amanpour. Where the fuck is this bitch from?
Amanpour and Company is...
Amanpour. Do a fucking early light check on her.
So many business owners still run it with emails, spreadsheets, group chats. That's why we started using Connecting. Everything's automated, customized. It's too simple.
And it works?
Oh, like you wouldn't believe it. My team puts in their availability, I click auto schedule, and boom, there it goes. No more Excel, no more phone calls, no more group chats. Oh. Perfect skit.
What has shocked you most or surprised you most about the Epstein saga?
The blatant gaslighting. I think they're either blackmailed.
The blatant gaslighting. The blatant gaslighting. Did he even say gaslighting?
I think they're either blackmailed.
What has shocked you most or surprised you most about the Epstein saga?
The blatant gaslighting. I think they're either blackmailed. I think they're even
First of all,
blackmailed.
you can't blackmail Donald Trump.
I
He has
think
no
they're
shame.
even
The man's in the
blackmail-
Epstein files. What would you blackmail him with?
When we talk about stuff that's happening in the world and then you get
When you
called
talk about
anti-Semitic,
stuff that's
I have
happening
a
in the
problem
world.
with that because basically you're calling out the truth. The truth now is anti-Semitic.
Bassem, why can't you be careful then in your language? What, are you doing it for clicks?
I'm not saying that my reaction is right, but I'm saying my reaction is natural. Why don't you like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson?
Because they've said some horrific things over the years.
You're so puritanical. What everything has to be
puritanical,
everything has to be right and left for you.
I don't know if you're following the whole Hassan Piker controversy.
Every single week there's something to cancel him.
I know it's funny that they spent years saying we need a Joe Rogan on the left, but not him. I've got to throw his name in here. Bill Maher.
Oh my God.
You want to go on Daily Wire? Ben Shapiro, you watching? He wants to go on the Daily Wire.
I know. I'll be lying to go there.
I'm Mehdi Hassan.
And I'm Bassem Youssef.
And we're not kidding.
And I wish we were.
We're not kidding. The podcast from Zateo where I get to talk to funny people about serious things, but also funny things, I hope.
I hope so.
Welcome back.
Well, I'm so happy to be back.
It's been such a long time.
I know.
Time flies. I was like, it's been a month or two since we spoke to Bassem. We checked. It was 6 months ago in Dearborn at ArabCon in front of that live audience.
It means that you don't miss me that much.
Oh, no, I miss you a lot.
You
but,
just like wake up and...
Although last time we met, you told me to fuck off because I said Indian food's better than Egyptian food.
Of course, I will always tell you this. I will have to stand up for my own country.
You'll always be wrong. Did you know, here's some trivia. We are in Washington, D.C. You came to see me this time.
Yes.
We've done this show in L.A. We've done this show in Toronto. We've done this show in London. First time we've ever done it in D.C.
I know.
It's home terrain.
And I'm happy that I'm here doing my show at the Warner Theatre and you're coming tonight. So this is how me and Maddie meet. We just we see where do we coincide in the same city.
Even when we socialize this work, I'm coming to your show tonight with the family.
Exactly.
And also, I got to say, on a personal level, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
I believe it was your 42nd birthday recently?
52nd, thank you.
You don't look a day older than 60.
51.
51, mashallah, as we say. It's great to see you. As it's been a long time, there's a lot to chat about.
Yeah.
A lot to chat about. And I don't know where to start, but I'm going to start with, out of order, I do want to talk about war and Iran and Gaza and all of the usual stuff we talk about. But I got to start with Epstein, because I know you've been very interested in the Epstein files. I've seen some of your videos and posts. We've covered it a lot here at Zateo. It's one of the biggest stories in the world, even though Donald Trump has tried to distract from it with his war in Iran. What has shocked you most or surprised you most about the Epstein saga in our media, in our politics?
It's the blatant gaslighting. You know, you have a guy who is Jewish, who is pro-Israel, and yet they tell you, he might be a Russian spy. And it just
that was the time they engaged with the espionage angle.
Exactly, and then you have to think about Russian, Russian collusion in 2016, and then said, wait, maybe that's not the case. Maybe we have been gaslighted all of these years. When you have people in CNN and MSNBC and Fox News, whatever, and they deliberately avoid talking about Israel connection, they're basically. It is done deliberately.
It was bizarre that first they wouldn't mention the Mossad ties, which have already been out there. I mean, Alex Acosta, who was Donald Trump's labor secretary, but he was also the lawyer who gave him the sweetheart deal in Florida in 2008. He said at the time, I was told he worked for an intelligence agency to back off. Not only do they not talk about the intelligence agency, but when it comes up, they're like, oh yeah, intelligence. But it was Russian intelligence.
Yes.
And you're right. It's almost an insult to your intelligence.
And then exactly. Oh, I like the puns. But here's how America's medias work. So to tell you that we're democratic, we're free, they will mention the Israeli connection once or twice, but they will never. Actually, I went to ask ChatGPT and I said bring me all of the videos, all of the clips, all of the incidents where the Israeli connection to Epstein was mentioned in mainstream media. And they all said they either didn't mention or mentioned to be discredited or mentioned Just by the way. So, do we mention it? Yes. Do we pound on it? No. Do we go deep to it like every single last? No. It's the same thing like when they had, for example, the Somalian immigrants. They will go down as like hours and hours and hours and show you like how the Somali immigrants are like bad for our countries. So and now I get to know, I get to realize how the American media works.
Well, Chomsky, who's also in the Epstein files,
Yes.
that's my segue. Sadly, Noam Chomsky is all over the Epstein files as someone who is in the support of Israel but was friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Chomsky famously said the most powerful form of censorship is censorship by omission.
Yeah.
Right? Just excluding certain facts and information from a story. But this time they haven't been able to get away with it because of independent media, because of social media.
I guess they did.
Well, not with the public at large. I mean, I was just interviewing Ro Khanna earlier today before you came, who led the charge on the Epstein files. With Thomas Massey, got the files released. And he makes the point that it's the only issue where the MAGA base has ever disagreed with Trump.
So what? I mean, when people say people at large.
No, I meant information. You're talking about impact on the real world? No, he's still president.
People at